So a little backstory on where I work. It's a very small family business where we sell pools and pool chemicals. Only 2 desks in our office which can fully see into the showroom. 1 desk for the manager and 1 for me. Also, when I say a small business, I mean it. Normally, it was always just me, assistant manager, and my mom, manager. However, we had just recently hired someone new that was a little older than me. I was 21 at the time, and my new coworker was 28. My mom had to go and pick up some office supplies for us and mail off some bills, so it was just me and my coworker. We weren't very busy at the time, since it was a weekday and fairly close to closing time. So I was sitting at my desk and he was at the manager's desk since he didn't have his own. We are both on our phones playing around and waiting to hear the door open. We hear the door open and my coworker, we will just call Matt from here out, starts to get up and I tell Matt that I've got this one, so he sits back down. I stand up and see this lady, Karen, and her kid come in and start walking around. I walk out to the showroom and welcome them to their store and ask if they need help finding anything. We're just looking right now. I will let you know if we have any questions. I want a pool toy. Where are the toys at? Well, the pool toys are right over in the aisle by the door and on that wall there. I motioned to the wall where all the displays were. I told you that we don't need any help right now. I just stepped back and walked into the office, not wanting any confrontations this close to closing. They continued looking around for another few minutes when I heard a kid hollering from the front of the store. I looked up. The kid was climbing on our ladder samples, which clearly have neon green signs that are 8 inches times 11 inches that say, "Do not climb on." So I walked up the front of the store and politely told the kid that he couldn't climb on them. Karen is her calm self and said something along the lines of, "Don't tell my kid what to do," and the kid whose stand starts crying. "I'm sorry, but it is against company policy to have anyone climbing on them for safety purposes." I point at the sign that says you can't. Well, you should have made the sign bigger. I'm not the best at containing my frustration, and when I get frustrated at someone, my sarcasm comes out with absolutely zero filter. This kid had been running around our store screaming like a banshee, and I was getting very annoyed. "Well, maybe try using your eyes next time." "What did you say to me?" I said to look for a sign next time you want to let your son climb all over displays in the store. And I walked away. She continues walking around with the kid still crying until she gets to the one corner where we have some Legos for kids to play with, while their parents wait to have their water tested or be helped. Mind you, the area was closed and had the lights shut off. "I want to play with dogs' Legos." I wasn't even in the mood to say no, as long as it stopped him from crying. Then he starts carrying them out from the designated area and throwing them down the aisles at our toy displays. I had enough because I knew I was gonna have to clean it up, and I told him, "You are not allowed to take the Legos from the play area. Please put them back where you got them from." Who do you think you are talking to my son that way? I am simply telling you both that what he has been doing is not allowed in the store and he needs to stop. Then Karen dropped the bomb. "Well, how dare you talk to us that way? I'll have you know that I'm the owner's daughter and will have you fired for this." Mind you, the owners are my grandparents, and she sure as hell isn't my aunt. Karen walks up to Matt. "Have you heard how your employee talks to me? He is the rudest employee I have ever met. And as the owner's daughter, I demand he get written up or fired." "Well, I can't do that. I can't fire him because he's my boss." Karen finally shuts up and looks at me while I'm grabbing the picture frame off the wall. I slid in front of her and pointed to my label. My name, assistant manager, underneath my name and title. Her face turned every shade of red under the sun. So you mean to tell me that you are a long-lost aunt of mine? Because if not, you can get the hell out of the store. She practically drags her kid out of the store while trying to run out the doors. She kept pushing on our doors, trying to get out. They are pull doors. Having a family that knows about your Reddit account has its disadvantages. Yesterday, my sister called me after I got off to work to ask me if comments are still coming in. She said she cannot bear the negativity of looking at them herself because the comments are also hurtful towards her. So I was brutally honest. At least 10 comments are still coming in daily, and most of them more or less say the same things about her. She started crying and demanding I delete my Reddit posts. But I refused and told her she can cry to anyone she wants. But the posts stay up because they are my assurance she won't try to treat me like crap anymore. After all, she literally felt like my life should revolve around hers. Didn't pay me the babysitting money she was supposed to and pocketed it for herself. And forced me to be the constant babysitter on last year's family vacation, so I had pretty much no fun the entire time. Is it really any wonder people are having so much hate for her when she treated me like that? Then when I mentioned the post have already spread to other websites because I was asked a couple of times to let an article be made about my situation. And there are some videos that were read as well. My sister shrieked hearing that and hung up. My parents then called me, begging I take the posts down. I refused and stated that I only did this because they didn't stick up for me. This would have never happened if they'd told my sister to treat me like an equal and not a servant. I'm not her butler, babysitter, or handyman. I'm her freaking brother and a grown-ass man. Wouldn't they be tired of this crap in my shirts too? They agreed, but still begged I take the posts down. I refused and said that I'll keep making more if they don't start sticking up for me more when my sister comes crying to them. Let her clean up her own messes, because all the enabling of her led to this. I didn't father those kids. I've got a life of my own, it's clear I'm still new too, and hopefully soon enough a girlfriend as there's someone I want to ask out. I'm moving my life forward and I won't be held back. They can either step out of my way or keep trying to enable my sister, but I assured them that the latter would end badly for them. The only way this posting on Reddit will stop is if the drama stops. I've kept things anonymous and I've got a right to vent my very valid frustrations. Well, that left my mother crying. My father just went silent. And I said, tears don't move me. They know what it'll take to end this, and that's to stop enabling my sister. Well, my sister called me again to yell at me that our parents have told her they aren't dealing with this anymore, and to figure it out herself. Oh, and they told her to be nicer to me too. I just pictured her eye twitching as she internally screamed after hearing that. Be nice to my kid brother? What is this? Do I look it up on Google? Yeah, I was that sarcastic to her, but it left her crying too when I hung up. My brother-in-law called me later to get my side of the story. He was mad I'm still posting and made his wife cry. But I explained everything to him and he said he'd have another talk with my sister. I'm hoping this drama finally ends here, but the family vacation is still on for late June. I've already booked my room and put in for a day off work so we can all leave on a Friday. My room is also not near the ones my parents, sister, brother-in-law, and the nephews will be using. In fact, it's not even on the same floor. And when we go to the coast, when it's not a family activity, I'm going to go where I want and do what I want. And you can bet I'm gonna tour those art galleries, pick out on local food, and just enjoy being carefree for a change. Back in the early 2000s, I got a job working as a cashier at Kmart. This story may have happened 2 decades ago, but this particular day is forever burned into my memory as I think it deeply wondered if not killed my inner optimist. I had just finished my first few days of training and shadowing other cashier, and today was my first real day. I was finally cut loose. Customers trickled through my line, each as sweet as before, each slowly calming my nerves. All was right with the world. It was about 5 minutes from my first 15 minutes break, and I was dreaming of crazy breadsticks. Slowly but surely, a quite elderly man made his way to my aisle. Let's call him Father Time, FT. I would be doing you all a disservice if I simply said FT looked like a classic super old guy. I have to paint this picture for you because it's personally important to me. I first was taken aback by his size and posture. He was very short and severely hunched over his cane. If you were to straighten him out all the way, I'd probably still be taller than him. He also had a really thin frame with even thinner looking skin. It was the dead of summer, but he shivered like a chihuahua in February. Slowly he walked down my aisle. Each movement he made seemed calculated and deliberate. I wasn't sure if he was afraid of tripping and falling over, or was looking for a spare change on the ground. His attire didn't disappoint me either, and I had all the time in the world to take it in. He had dark brown leather loafers, and the whitest socks I've ever seen. He had on crispy ironed tundra pants hiked up to his nipples, firmly held in place with both a belt and suspenders. His blue pinstripe short-sleeved dress shirt had more starch in it than a loaf of bread, which he paired with a navy bow tie. His glasses were as thick as Coke bottles. I'm surprised they were able to stay on his face. Oh, and of course, he topped it all off with a snazzy fedora and a big smile that showed off his ill-fitting dentures. I cannot stress enough how non-threatening this man looked. Hello, sir. Welcome to Kmart. How may I help you today? I would like to buy this. He then carefully hands me a diabetic male replacement candy bar that we sold near a pharmacy. It certainly was not one that was sold near the registers. I scan his candy bar and total his balance. Oh, it looks like this is on sale. It will only be 99 cents, sir. His face lights up like he hit the jackpot. Oh, I have a coupon. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out this meticulously folded piece of paper. I glance at it and it's for $1 off. I perk up too because I'm happy for him. Who doesn't like a free candy bar? I scan the coupon and this dreadful sound comes from the register. You all know that sound. The coupon was rejected. I look at it more closely and discover the coupon expired in 1998. Sheepishly look at FT. I'm sorry, sir, but this coupon expired a few years ago. His grin slowly fades as confusion sweeps across his face. Please try it again, young lady. I just clipped that last Sunday. I shrug and scan again with the same result. I'm sorry, sir. The computer is not letting me apply the coupon. Would you like me to page a manager? I really don't have that time to wait around. He then puts his hand on his back and somehow manages to look even more fragile than he already is. Standing around is a young man's game. Can I just have my candy bar and a penny now? And you sort this out with her later? It was my turn to look confused. Excuse me, your penny? Starting to look annoyed. Yes, it's 99 cents with a $1 off. That means you owe me penny. Kind speechless because this was not covered in my training. I'm going to have to wait for a manager, sir. I'm pretty sure I do not have the authority to pay you for taking a candy bar. I then reach for the phone and page M. Instead of coming to the register, she calls me from another department. Hey, I'm busy in layaway right now. What do you need help with? I have a customer here trying to buy a special candy bar. He has $1 off coupon for it, but it expired. it's ringing up for 99 cents instead of $2.25. And he wants us to accept the coupon and give him a penny difference. Is that something we can do? She is silent for a moment and probably had the same confused expression I had. What? No! That item isn't on sale. It's being discontinued and clearanced out. Even if the coupon was valid, we would not accept it. And we never give change back on the difference of a coupon. Just politely tell him that. I reflexively jump and scream. When I turned to face FT, I realized he hit counter with his cane and was swinging again to hit me. I don't know if he could hear what manager was saying or decide he had waited around long enough. But either way, he was pissed. I screamed again as I dropped the phone and ducked behind the register. He hit the register with enough force to break the brace used to anchor it to the counter and lift it a little. He is now sweeping the counter with his cane, hitting air, knocking over everything displayed as he is shouting, "Give me my penny!" Soon I hear a distinct sound of a pair of high heels running full speed, as well as the footsteps of others. FT snatched his cane back, grabs his candy bar, spits in my direction and storms out of the store. Manager and a member of loss prevention arrive at find me peeking out past my register with my entire aisle and freaking wreck. By this point, I am done with the day, and apparently it was written all over my face. Hey up, why don't we come back to my office and help me fill out some paperwork and call it a day? By this point, I'm shaking worse than FT was and just nodded. We go back and file a report and manager is at a loss for words. A coworker buys me a soda from the break room and I just leave. I bet I looked like a zombie as I left. I swear I slept the whole day when I got home. I have never been that drained before. I don't know why I didn't quit right then and there, but the smile on my manager's face when I returned the next day for my shirt was priceless. I also got a free lunch at the cake cafe that day, which is the coolest thing ever to my 70-year-old self. This isn't my story, but the story of my friend, a man who at that time, in his late 20s, while over 6'4", shy and hardcore gamer, met a hit. At the time, he was engaged to a princess who dreamed of the big wedding in Disney World. She wanted the big cake, the big dress, and would style her outfits every day so she would resemble a Disney princess. All this is fine, her outfits were pretty cute, but the problem is, he was the only one working, yet she did a lot of spending. When they first got engaged, she instantly began wedding planning and things were getting ridiculously expensive, but he had little to no input whatsoever. After adding it all up and doing the budgeting, my friend finally spoke up and put his foot down. He's an easygoing guy and I was happy for her to plan the whole thing how she wanted. He knew she'd be planning this for years. Problem was he simply couldn't afford everything she wanted. He offered her a compromise that they had the smaller wedding but the dream Disney honeymoon she wanted, and even agreed she could get a dream dress. This compromise was going well until she began picking out the groom's outfit. She wanted him to wear a white head-to-toe tweed suit and pink shoes to match her flowers. He agreed to try it on, and a few of his friends went with him for support, and they all agreed it didn't look like him. As I mentioned earlier, he's a chill guy, but he's very shy and introverted, and he felt very uncomfortable in the suit. He attempted another compromise. He will wear the shoes, but he wanted a black or gray, slightly more traditional outfit. This is when she flipped and had a major meltdown in front of family and friends at a barbecue they were hosting. When he'd tried on the suit and decided he didn't want to wear it, everyone assumed that was the end of it. But this had become a heated argument behind closed doors we learned for over 2 weeks. The first sign of meltdown I heard was a loud screaming in their garden. I was getting another beer at the time, so came running outside to see what happened. The bride-to-be was on the floor, screaming and crying, literally throwing a tantrum like a small child. She had been trying to pressure him into wearing the suit again at the party by telling all his family about the suit and how he looks great in it. She'd be going around the garden trying to get people to convince him to grow a pair and to wear the suit. When he confronted her, this is when she let out a huge scream of anguish and threw herself to the floor in front of everyone. Stunned and confused, me and all the other guests just watched the events unfold. She claimed if he loved her then, he would wear the suit she wanted and give her a bigger budget for the wedding, because all these constraints and budgets are ruining her big day. I've never in my life seen this guy raise his voice or even defend himself. He stood up for himself this day. He told her that it was just a suit and it's not her big day, it's meant to be their big day. And he wouldn't feel comfortable in the suits and she should respect that. I think she was just as shocked as we were, but then she pulled out the big ends of the argument. She gave him an ultimatum. If he wouldn't wear the suit then, the engagement was off and the relationship was over and he should leave now. This is when he began laughing and I thought he'd actually lost it. He replied that it was his house. Apparently, her name wasn't on anything inside the house, including the pets, and the honeymoon they booked was also in his name. He called the engagement off and told her parents to take her home, dated with her kicking and screaming. This memory always makes me laugh. My friend's okay. I'm not really sure what happened to her, but I know the only thing he gave back to her was her clothes, and that's it. I've not seen or spoken to her since. My husband and I live in a duplex house. Both units mirror each other. The only difference is our side is about 50 square feet bigger, so we have a third bedroom instead of 2. Last year, a new couple moved in, and they are rude. They are very loud. They stomped and slammed around so bad they shake outside. They have also brought their dogs over to our side of the yard to let them poop. They clean it up, but it's gross that they bring their dog right by one of my garden patches where I'm growing food to poop when they have plenty of space on their side. They have on several occasions gone out of their way not to talk to us and have even flat out ignored us when we are all outside. Now it seems they are using our hose. Both sides have hookups for a hose. Since I have a few garden patches in our side of the yard, I use my hose regularly. I make sure to put it back very neatly because I'm just using a bucket we had around the hose to store it. It's one of those hoses that expands when there is water in it and gets smaller when you drain it. Because of that, I make sure to drain it so it fits in the bucket. Anyways, Tuesday night we came home late. Not only was our hose full of water, but it wasn't even put away. My husband was livid and immediately thought it was the neighbors. I said to him, let's just ask our landlord if he came by and used it for any reason. We saw landlord Thursday, and he said he was not here. So my husband and I are pretty sure they did help themselves. This morning I went out, and even though the hose was in the bucket, it still had water in it. So this morning after I used the hose, I drained it and locked the 2 ends together. I found a spout cover with lock that will be arriving tomorrow. I know this might seem minor, but we pay for water. We do our best to be conscious of the amount of water we use to keep that bill low. I can't wait to see if they complain about the cover. Small update: setting up an old phone as your camera, hoping to catch them in the act of trying to use it as well.